Forgive me if this ends up being a long story, but this happened recently, and with what happened, I felt posting it here may help me get it off my chest. I also want this to be a precautionary tale for people like me who don't know how to say no. A guy I decided to give a chance got me to sleep with him and took it as a we're dating. I didn't have it in me to correct him, so I end up with him for 2 months before I find out he's on a predator list. I then proceeded to dump his ass. This actually happened this past February. I met a dude when I worked at this one retail job. He was weird, however, I was encouraged to give him a chance. Keep in mind, I have had horrible experiences with men previously, so my expectations were low. However, it all started with him giving me his number, and being the naive dumbass that I am, I pushed my hesitation down and got to know him. Things actually went well, despite everything. Then date night, our first date night. I bought a bunch of stuff to cook at his place. Duke was handsy and already groping me. Despite it being 25, I didn't have a lot of relationship experience. It was never something important to me in my teens. Anyway, I didn't want to anger him or feel like the asshat, so I rolled with it and we slept together. In hindsight, I should have said no, but I'm a dumbass, as stated before. Despite everything, I thought things were going all right. I just thought I was being a prude and stuck up. I grew up sheltered, and due to my own hang-ups, I have always had a high bar when it comes to potential friends and lovers. It may make me stuck up, but my standards are there to protect me. Especially in the aftermath, but I'll get to that. Anyway, I thought I was being snooty, so I tried to ease up a bit. Especially since him thinking that me agreeing to sleep with him was a yes, I'll date you. I didn't want to crush him, so, again, I rolled with it. We were together for about 2-ish months, so not too much went on, but I'll give a few notes. He would often make comments about how he wanted us to get married. We weren't together for a month, and he was already thinking about marriage. Dude was 8 years older than me, so I just thought he felt like he had to have a family before 40. Either way, that was one of the few times I tried to draw a line, but my pleas were on deaf ears. He complained about condoms and was pushing me to get birth control so he didn't have to use them. I made it clear that if we did have a future together, he would need to get a career. I'm all for marrying for love, but love doesn't keep a roof over our heads. That happy balance of love and pragmatism is needed. I suggested a few jobs that require background checks. This becomes relevant later. But he was always dodgy about the topic. Side note, I genuinely believe he thought I would be the breadwinner. While this may be totally me, his friends gave me vibes too. One friend fully admitted to being a porn addict straight up, especially hentai. Then he and my ex would talk about hentai right in front of me. Speaking of which, my ex once asked me about porn, specifically hentai, like my stance or if I was okay with it. My response was, I would prefer that we keep our guilty pleasures our own business. Sorry, I have found someone else by the time of writing this, and I don't send my shout-out literal fucking peern. He would slap my ass every time I would walk by, to the point I would try to keep my ass pointed away from him if I needed to pass by. He admitted he wanted to record us doing it. Considering I am aware that such things could ruin a person's life, I made it clear we weren't doing that, and all phones be on the table if we are in the mood. I don't do nudes or lewds, and the thought scares me shitless. Despite all this, he would always ask me over, give me compliments, give me gifts. He made me feel attractive for the first time in my life. I'm a big woman. Not 600 pounds, but just plump enough that I may have image issues. And to an extent, I did grow to have affection for him and even thought about marrying him, which makes me sick to my stomach now that I even think about it. But then it all came crashing down. I remember it clearly. I was putting in applications and my sister wanted to talk to me. After I had a free moment, I went to talk to her to see what she needed. Then she showed me. His face was on a sex offenders registry. I laughed, and then I quickly crumbled. I laughed because of how absurd this was, and I was just hoping I was dreaming. But after a moment, anger, disgust, and a shit ton of emotions came down on top of me. My sister watches a lot of crime stuff, and a YouTuber who goes into cases said, when moving to new places, always check the offender's registry. My family has always had our morbid curiosities, and out of curiosity, she just wanted to see who was on the registry. No different than checking to see who all got arrested in the morning newspaper, I guess. Anyway, eventually my whole house knew. We talked it out. I decided he needed to go, and we happened to set up a date that day. My sister drove me to his house as I needed a witness in case things went south. You may ask, why not send a breakup text? Because I had some stuff I was borrowing and I didn't need him coming to my house. Plus, it was more cathartic as I showed him his profile on the registry. I asked him, why is it that my little sister is telling me this? And I got no answer to that. I gave him his stuff back and haven't seen him since. Ladies, please learn to say no if you can. It isn't easy, but you'll save yourself some pain if you can. Also, this may be my paranoid butt talking, but please do check your local sex offenders registry if you meet someone. We don't have too many in my area, but my unlucky ass ended up with one of them. And it scares me to think what would have happened if my sister didn't check because she saved my life. This advice goes for both men and women, by the way. If you read this whole thing, thanks. As of now, I'm with someone else. We've been friends for years. We dated briefly, but it didn't get to the levels of serious this relationship did. I told them about it, and they said it sounded like they, the ex, was love-bombing me and could have potentially trapped me in that relationship, especially if they were dead set on having kids. Was it love-bombing? IDK. I'm sure someone will dissect this story. But for now, I've shared my piece. Please like, comment, and subscribe.